After she started keeping a college boy as a pet, I decided to remove her from the board completely. It was the second year of my marriage to Victoria Sterling. She was keeping a young lover, and she was brazen enough to take him on a spontaneous trip abroad. When I finally caught them, they were locked in a passionate embrace at Victoria's own birthday gala, acting as if nothing was wrong. When Victoria saw me, she just offered a lazy, wine-stained smile. "It's just for fun, Julian. Relax. It won't affect us." I laughed cold and hard, choosing not to make a scene. "True, just for fun. If you want to play games, Victoria, I can play them better." She assumed I was just sulking, right up until Sterling Enterprises began to crumble, teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. Victoria ignored the torrential rain, pounding frantically on my front door. I opened it, revealing a stunning woman standing behind me. "Relax," I echoed her words. "It's just for fun. I like them young and beautiful, too." Elena Cross radiated hostility as she leaned into my embrace, staring past me. "You're out of the game, old news." "Victoria, I will never forgive you, and you will never have the chance to earn it." The birthday gala had been lively. The room was filled with Victoria's inner circle, socialites and heiresses. They were egging her on. "Victoria, give him a kiss. Treat yourself. It's your birthday." The college boy seemed ill-suited for this high-society predator pit. He wanted to show off, but was terrified of offending his benefactor. Victoria, however, showed no shame. She wrapped her arms generously around his neck and kissed him with a passion that belonged in a bedroom, not a ballroom. I stood leaning against the doorframe, a cigarette dangling from my lips, watching with dead eyes. One of Victoria's friends spotted me, and panic rippled through the group. "Julian." In a split second, the raucous atmosphere died. They hadn't expected me to show up. This entire affair was meant to be kept from me. I walked toward Victoria. The boy looked terrified, standing up abruptly, likely bracing himself for a beating. Victoria showed zero remorse at being caught by her husband. She smiled playfully, draping an arm over the boy's shoulder, her tone flippant. "It's my birthday. I'm just gathering with the girls." "What are you doing here?" She gestured to the boy. "This is Caleb Vance. He's going to be my assistant soon. You two should get acquainted." She paused, her eyes glinting. "Don't worry. I'm just having a little fun. Don't take it so seriously." The Thorne and Sterling families were old money, pillars of New York society. We had known each other since childhood, though her family moved to Chicago when I was 7 to expand their empire. They did well. After college, for reasons I couldn't fathom, the patriarchs decided on a merger marriage. Naturally, we tied the knot. Before the wedding, I had her investigated. She loved to party, and her past was littered with scandals. I wasn't thrilled, but Victoria's grandfather begged, promising she would settle down. I later learned the Sterlings were planning an overseas expansion, and our interests aligned. Both families were equally powerful, but mutually distrustful. It was supposed to be a symbiotic relationship. Unfortunately, I was the sacrifice. Both sides valued the partnership, and marriage was the only seal that would hold. After the wedding, Victoria actually behaved for a while. But now that the overseas markets were stabilizing, it seemed her restless heart couldn't be contained. Actually, the Thorne family had anticipated this. In our dealings with the Sterlings, we ensured we secured every asset due to us. The Sterlings were guarded too, keeping us away from the core equity. I gave a faint smile, taking a velvet box from my assistant. "This is the custom couple's watch you ordered. Give it to your little lover." Victoria didn't take it. She looked at me with mockery. "Julian, you aren't a child. This is a merger. Stop with the boring drama. Don't think you can control my freedom, and don't think waving that watch around scares me." I didn't miss the flash of panic in her eyes. I scoff internally, all talk, no spine. "Victoria, from today on, we play by our own rules. Separate lives, just don't regret it." Victoria's face changed on the spot. But arrogant as she was, she wouldn't bow her head. "Julian, don't be willful." Her best friend, seeing the situation escalating, stepped in to mediate. "Julian, don't be mad. We were just egging her on. Victoria had too much to drink. She loves only you." I sneered. "I saw the whole show. What more did I need?" That trip to the Riviera was nice. Practically a honeymoon. She wasn't drunk then, was she? I turned and left calmly. Behind me, someone whispered, "Victoria, go chase him." Victoria stood sullen and silent. Finally, she spoke slowly. "Chase him for what? It's a dynastic marriage. Julian doesn't have the final say." Her friends looked uneasy. The Thornes were never ones to suffer a loss, and the second son of the Thorne family was no pushover. "Victoria, maybe you should apologize. Your grandfather won't let you mess this up. The Thornes aren't to be trifled with." Victoria glanced at the door, her beautiful eyes flashing with unreadable emotion. Caleb suddenly tugged at her arm. Victoria, is that watch really for me? Leaving the party, I call my older brother, Harrison Thorne, to meet for drinks at a private lounge. When Harrison arrived, several empty bottles were already on my table. He had never favored this marriage. He guessed immediately what happened. Fight with Victoria again? That college kid, even my brother, buried in corporate operations, knew. That's how brazen Victoria had become. Yes, I recounted the events. Harrison's face darkened. This was rubbing the Thorne family's face in the dirt. Do whatever you want. I've got your back. Harrison, 5 years my senior, ran the family business and always looked out for me. He had opposed the marriage initially, but neither of us had the power to stop it then. Frustrated, I downed a few more drinks. I'm going to the restroom. When I returned, a woman was sitting next to my spot. She had her head down, looking out of place in the lounge's atmosphere. Maybe that's why I looked twice. Sensing my gaze, she looked up. Elena Cross? What is she doing here? I waved, smiling faintly. Miss Cross, what a coincidence. She ducked her head again, trying to avoid my eyes. Sorry, Mr. Thorne. I didn't mean to disturb you. Alcohol had loosened my inhibitions. I pulled her into my arms. Ah, she gasped. Let's talk. The command was effective. Elena went quiet. Aren't you married to Miss Sterling? Aren't you afraid she'll get jealous? I didn't speak, just looked at her. She likely knew more than just the rumors. Elena's body softened, and she whispered ambiguously in my ear, I know that college boy. He's been very high profile lately. Mr. Thorne, your horns are showing. I picked up a cigarette, and Elena deftly lit it for me. I exhaled a cloud of smoke, smiling half-heartedly. Elena, coming back to my place tonight? Our eyes locked. We were adults. The implication was clear. Elena chuckled lightly, but didn't speak. I suddenly remembered this woman was famous for her clean reputation. An orphan, beautiful, top of her class, she worked her way through college. We were classmates. Countless men wanted to keep her, but she never gave them the time of day. She hadn't even dated. I had been interested once, but the marriage happened before I could move. Just kidding, don't force yourself. To my surprise, she agreed instantly. The moment we entered my villa, I threw her onto the bed. Julian, wait, let me shower first. I frowned but didn't stop. Quiet, or I'll make sure you can't speak later. I'll wash you when we're done. It lasted all night. I kept my promise, making sure she knew exactly the consequences of provoking me. I slept until dawn broke. Just as I drifted off, my phone rang. Elena saw me shift, but make no move to answer. Laughing softly, she dragged her tired body up and grabbed my phone. It was a video call for Victoria. She nudged me, handing over the phone, her expression sour. I rubbed her face and pulled the covers over her. The view was for me alone. I accepted the call, forcing my heavy eyelids open. Victoria saw the woman beside me and let out a sharp laugh. Julian, we're even. This is great, I told you so. Also, no more messing around. Don't impact the cooperation between our families. And don't get anyone pregnant. I couldn't be bothered to reply. Separate lives, indeed, but the Sterlings were in for a surprise. I had a gift prepared for them. Victoria was truly trash to say such things. In our circle, keeping lovers wasn't uncommon, but there was a rule. Keep it out of the public eye. And you needed equal power to play that game. The Sterlings didn't have a weight, especially not while they were still in the honeymoon phase of the merger with the Thorns. Blind, arrogant fools. Fine. I said we'd play separate games. Don't bother me again. Seeing I was annoyed, Elena leaned in, kissing my cheek to soothe my temper. Mrs. Sterling, anything else? If not, please don't appear in my house virtually or otherwise. I hung up the video call, too tired to deal with the woman. Humiliated, Victoria's face must have been a sight. She was surrounded by her entourage. Victoria, Julian actually hung up on you. Is he really mad this time? Impossible. Didn't he find a woman too? Exactly. Divorce does the Thorns no good. It's just a tactic to threaten you. Victoria, you're so beautiful. Julian won't let go. Absolutely. If a divorce impacts the merger, Grandfather Thorne won't let him off. These friends were truly considerate, knowing exactly what lies to feed her. Sure enough, her mood improved. Back in my bed, sleep was gone. I lit a cigarette and sat up displeased. Elena leaned lazily against the headboard. That Victoria Sterling doesn't deserve you. She was always restless, just better at hiding it before. I looked at her with amusement, waiting for the pitch. Since she delivered herself to my door, there was a deal to be made. Last night was just the appetizer. Elena straightened her clothes and sat opposite me, her gaze serious. Let's talk. I poured her a glass of red wine, quickly sorting through the mental dossier I had on her. What does CEO Cross want to discuss? Divorce is off the table. I have no plans for that yet. Elena glared at me with mock resentment. Julian, you're heartless. I gave you my first time, and you put your pants on and forget me? Before I could speak, her expression shifted to pure business. We can discuss that later. I need an investment. $10 million. I'll return it with interest in a year. For that year, I am your collateral. On call anytime. If you don't trust me, send your people into my company. I was fully awake now. Your company doesn't seem to need financing. What do you need that much capital for? What's the objective? Elena looked exactly like the ambitious woman I remembered from college. I want to marry into the Thorne family. She raised a hand to stop me from interrupting. I know I'm not qualified right now. 1 year. I need 1 year. I want to take advantage of you. In a year, I'll return the principal and interest, and my net worth should be sufficient. What you can't do, I'll do for you. I know the Thornes are hamstrung by the partnership and can't touch the Sterlings. I'll touch them. I guarantee the Thornes suffer no loss. Whether the Sterling family still exists by then, that's the question. For this year, I'm yours. Think about it. You don't lose anything. This woman was confident. The Sterlings were a massive entity compared to her. But she was right. I wouldn't lose anything. My lips twitched into a smile. I extended my right hand. Pleasure doing business, my little canary. Then, we continued the previous night's exercise. An hour later, the flush hadn't left Elena's cheeks. I stroked her bare back. Let's go. Where? She asked, puzzled. I laughed. To Thorne Corp. To sign the contract. With Thorne capital injected and a professional team backing her, Elena began to make waves in the market. When Harrison signed the contract, he looked me up and down with a knowing smirk, then asked to speak with Elena alone. When they emerged, Harrison waved a hand and lent out the Thorne's best investment team. He claimed it was to monitor capital flow and ensure security. I didn't care what they discussed. I trusted Harrison unconditionally, and I chose to trust Elena conditionally. Regardless of her motives, we shared a target. Elena played the role of wife better than my actual wife. No matter how busy, she came home at night. Sometimes she cooked. She was good at it. On the weekend, we were preparing to go to a movie. We needed to cultivate some emotional connection alongside the physical when my phone blew up. A string of messages. Mr. Thorne, the sports car Miss Sterling ordered for you has arrived. Mr. Thorne, the custom watch from Miss Sterling is here. Mr. Thorne, Miss Sterling has reserved the Sky View restaurant for 7 p.m. I scoffed. Cars, watches, dinner. Was Victoria still dreaming? Or had the college boy drained her brain along with her bank account? It seemed Elena's recent aggressive moves were making the Sterling group sweat. Over the past 3 months, Elena and Harrison had executed a perfect pincer movement. Harrison dug the pits, the Sterlings jumped in, and Elena buried them. In a short quarter, the Sterlings mysteriously lost significant capital. Crucially, none of it could be traced back to the Thornes. Of course, they guessed. But guessing isn't evidence. The Sterlings were in the wrong, and Elena's methods were ruthless. She truly was a self-made iron lady. I asked her once why she wanted to marry into the family. She was candid. My company hit a ceiling. Going higher requires more than personal ability. Plus, I don't want my children to struggle like I did. Marriage is the best shortcut. I know plenty of heirs, but you're the most suitable. Don't tell me you never liked me. I rubbed my nose, embarrassed. No matter how I pressed, she wouldn't say why I was the most suitable. I suspected she thought I was naive enough not to sacrifice her. Her bar was low. My phone rang again. Victoria. I intended to ignore it, but Elena stubbornly insisted I answer. What is it? Victoria's tone was unusually soft. Julian, why did you change the house codes? And the security wouldn't let me in. I laughed coldly. Was she scared? Or did Grandfather Sterling beat some sense into her? Victoria, my villa doesn't welcome you. Don't come back. Victoria didn't get angry at my aggression. She couldn't afford to. The Sterling financials were in free fall. Desperate, they tried to ask the Thornes for concessions to stop the bleeding. Harrison refused flat out. Grandfather Sterling had lost face. He promised his granddaughter would behave, yet she humiliated us. They knew Elena wouldn't dare attack without my tacit approval. So they sent Victoria to sue for peace. Win or lose, the humiliation would be hers alone. I know you're mad about Caleb. I'll be careful. Absolutely no next time. Okay? I can cut him off completely. Stop sulking. Our families go way back. We've been married a year. Grandfather Thorne wants a great-grandson. Let's make up. I'm ready. Speechless. Was she delusional? The Thornes were the premier family in New York. Would we want a woman with no self-respect bearing a child destined for a paternity test? If you're sick, see a vet. Doctors can't fix you. I couldn't see her face, but I imagined it was colorful. Julian, I know you're angry. Let's talk properly. Name your terms. Just stop the temper tantrum. I know you're behind Elena Cross attacking our stock. Stop it, okay? Finally, the purpose. I laughed, dripping with sarcasm. Where was this awareness before? They knew they were slapping the thorns in the face, but indulged her anyway. They thought the partnership made them untouchable. They thought we wouldn't risk the capital loss to flip the table. They were right. We wouldn't lose 8 figures just to vent. But there are always solutions. Elena was the solution. She did it. Now the Sterlings realized the gap between us. Too late. Victoria, looking at you makes me sick. Don't call me again. I don't know about your family's problems, and I don't care. Victoria was stunned into silence. Finally, she gritted out, Julian, do you really think the Sterlings are soft targets? Since you refused my olive branch, let's see what happens. Truly delusional. In my eyes, the Sterling family really was a soft target. If not for the merger, Harrison and I would have crushed them long ago. Daring to threaten me? Just trash talking trash. As for the current partnership, if the Sterlings dared to pull out, the Thorns would happily oblige. Elena had practically covered our potential losses already. For them, hanging on mint surviving a few more days. Elena smiled and handed me a bottle of water. Don't be mad. I shook my head. I'm not mad. It's just funny. Their attitude when begging is impressively arrogant. Over the next month, Elena's moves became more aggressive. On her birthday, I hosted a private gathering, inviting many from our circle. Elena was my most important partner now. She needed to be seen. In 6 months, the Thorne family had become quite satisfied with her, viewing her as a future daughter-in-law. She was excellent. I was gradually accepting this reality too. Marrying her wouldn't be bad. It would solidify my status. But for now, we kept it strictly unofficial. The conversation inevitably turned to Victoria. Julian, that Victoria is insane. She's going around claiming how in love you two are, telling stories with such detail. It's causing quite a stir. If we didn't know the truth, we'd be fooled. You're tolerating this? I smiled, pulling Elena close, my voice indifferent. Just a clown. Ignore her. My childhood friends were stunned, especially seeing the chemistry between Elena and me. Elena was a rising star, unconnected to a major family, a prime marriage candidate. Her ice queen reputation was legendary. They didn't believe she'd be with me. But seeing her in my arms, smiling gently, they had to believe. Julian, you're a genius. How'd you catch this flower? Victoria is nothing compared to her, just a parasite on her family tree. It was a brief interlude before the party heated up again. I drank quite a bit. Excuse me, restroom. Not far from the private room, I bumped into one of Victoria's friends. Her eyes lit up. Julian, you came. Victoria is in that room over there. I wave her off. I'm not going. You guys have fun. But she was persistent. Victoria knows she was wrong. Give her a chance. This stuff is normal in our circle. Just treat it like she dated someone for a bit, right? She followed me all the way to the restroom door. On my way back, I had to pass Victoria's room. I didn't plan to go in, but her friend practically dragged me. The room was full of familiar faces. Besides the usual entourage, Kayla Vance was there. So, she really liked this college boy. Victoria was leaning back on the sofa, her blouse slightly disheveled, her face flushed. Caleb looked comfortable, intimate, very different from the scared kid 6 months ago. Train well. Victoria, I saw Julian. He came specifically to see you. Her friend shouted, trying to cover up the scene. Julian, you came. I knew you still cared. I won't hold the Elena thing against you. Let's make up. Victoria looked anxious. She was happy I was there, but terrified I'd seen the intimacy. I raised a hand to stop her approach. Victoria, stop embarrassing yourself. You look like you're doing fine. Got your little handsome boy. So happy. Don't bother me. I gestured to her chest. Button up. The view is spilling out. Her friends panicked. They had called her, but she was too busy making out to answer. Julian, you misunderstand. Caleb is graduating soon. He just asked Victoria for a job reference. They have nothing going on. Yes, just celebrating a birthday. The Thorne-Sterling marriage is crucial. Don't fight over this. Meeting Victoria's hopeful gaze, I smiled. I reached out, and just as she thought I was going to caress her cheek, I tapped her neck. Explain this. She grabbed a compact mirror. Her face went pale. Hickey marks from last night. I grabbed her by the neck, forcing her to look at me. Victoria, don't tell me those are mosquito bites. You are disgusting. Keep him away from me. If you parade him in front of me again, I don't mind dismantling the Sterling family. Behave, and maybe I'll ask Elena to spare you. Keep playing, and suffer the consequences. I turned and left. The sound of smashing glass behind me was not my concern. Not long after, Caleb joined Sterling Enterprises as Victoria's personal assistant. With her indulgence, his ambition grew. In his impoverished mind, He thought the wealthy were idiots he could manipulate. He didn't understand the rules of the game. He started posting high-profile flexes on social media. Instagram, TikTok. CEO Sis ordered a sports car. Rejected by someone else, so it's mine now. CEO Sis threw away a custom watch in anger. Breaks my heart. CEO Sis is in a bad mood. I feel so bad. Victoria had a hand in this too. I knew the vague rumors were fodder for gossip rags. Once the story fermented, to protect the reputation of both firms, the families would issue a joint denial. On the surface, the marriage would look restored. The cracks would be filled with money. My assistant gathered the posts, looking grim. If it were just showing off, no one would care. But the kid had a death wish. The content constantly alluded to me. Soon, people doxed his CEO Sis. Victoria achieved her goal. I was in the eye of the storm. Mr. Thorne, should we issue a clarification? I shook my head. Useless. And I wouldn't fall in her trap. She had a plan. I had a ladder over the wall. Investigate this Caleb Vance. Since he wants to be a pawn, let him be the first sacrifice. Destroy him. And inject another 10 million into Elena's company. Tell them the storm can get stronger. My assistant understood. Yes, sir. He paused. Should I report to the chairman? I wave him off. Grandfather silently approves. He only cares about profit. Otherwise, he would have stopped us already. My assistant was efficient. Caleb Vance, a pretty face with an empty head. He failed classes constantly in college. Victoria paid heavily to keep him enrolled. He was 6 months from graduation. Thorne Corp's legal department sent a lawyer's letter directly to the university. Reasons: damaging school reputation, engaging in illicit relationships for money, academic dishonesty, buying credits. Everything we could find. The school wanted to bury the scandal, waiting for him to graduate, so it wasn't their problem. I wouldn't let them. Caleb liked to flex online. Fina. In 1 week, his social media was overrun. His love story with Victoria became a meme, spread across every platform. And we had receipts. The school had no choice. They expelled him immediately. Victoria, you have to save me. I'm getting roasted alive. The school expelled me. You told me to do this. Caleb looked dejected, kneeling before Victoria. He thought following her orders would land him a payday. Instead, his future was incinerated. Even his parents found out and nearly disowned him. Victoria didn't answer. She waved him out. She couldn't even save herself. Elena's pace accelerated. Sterling Enterprises was stretched thin. The family begged for help, but no one wanted to cross the thorns, and the Sterlings had no collateral left. Is Thorne Corp still refusing? Victoria's assistant asked nervously. Yes, they won't even see us. Ms. Sterling, using Caleb to provoke Julian backfired. Maybe. Beg him again. Victoria stared at the floor. The news reached me quickly. Employees need to eat, and many at Sterling were frantically pledging loyalty to us. Beg him? He won't see me. Victoria swept the documents off her desk in a rage. That evening, Elena cooked. Julian, the 1-year goal might be reached early. She looked at me with a half smile. I knew what she was thinking. Her status in my house now superseded mine. Is that so? Should we secure the succession with a shotgun wedding? When a woman goes crazy, men just have to hold on for the ride. After dinner, I barely remember how we got to the bed. Outside, rain poured. Inside, it was spring. Annoyingly, my phone kept ringing. Victoria. Elena picked it up lazily. Answer it. I stroke her hair. No. Annoying. She grinned like a fox. Can I answer? Seeing me nod, her eyes lit up with territorial excitement. Hello. Victoria's pitiful voice came through. Julian, I was wrong. Please, can we talk? Elena laughed softly. Miss Sterling, please don't harass Julian. He's busy. Silence. Then a low plea. Director Cross, let me speak to him. Sorry, he's asleep. Victoria screamed, guessing I was listening. Julian, I know you're there. I'm at the door. Please. I was too tired for this nonsense. Victoria, we have nothing to say. I hung up. Elena no satisfied. I like you like this. She went too far. Still involved with Caleb. But, are you really going for the kill shot on the family? I didn't speak, just pulled her down again. My housekeeper knocked later. Sir, Miss Sterling is still outside. She won't leave. Ignore her. But her screaming was disturbing the peace. I opened the door, face black with rage. Victoria was drenched, pathetic, stripped of her heiress dignity. She dropped to her knees. Julian, I was wrong. Our families go back generations. Please spare the company. I'm trash. I'm a cheater. It's all my fault. Just spare the family. I'll agree to anything. I looked down at her with amusement. Miss Sterling, go beg Elena. Why beg me? And aren't you afraid your little assistant will get jealous? Elena appeared, fully dressed, and kicked Victoria aside. "Don't touch him with your dirty hands. You're out, sweetheart." Victoria glared at her with hatred. "It was you. You set this trap." Elena fired back. "If you want the company to go bankrupt faster, keep talking." She slammed the door. Inside, she looked at me with big eyes. "Julian, you will marry me, right?" I kissed her. Of course. Now that my hands were free, it was time to handle Caleb. After being expelled and fired by a furious Victoria, he took a payoff to leave. But he didn't learn. He kept slandering me online, claiming to be a victim. I returned to the villa one evening to find Victoria kneeling at my gate again. She looked weak. "Julian." I frowned. "What now? I know I was wrong. Forgive me. I promise the Sterling family will be your greatest asset. If you want to be the head of the house, we will back you fully." I was silent, not because I wanted to spare them, but I had an idea. I wanted the Sterlings to bleed, and I wanted Victoria in the abyss. "Julian, please. I'll never interfere with you again. Also, my affair." Elena pushed Caleb toward me. "She's not clean." I laughed. "I guessed that back at the bar. Harrison's report confirmed it. So, Elena forced you to cheat? I can spare the family, but handle Caleb." "He disgusts me." Victoria looked down. "Okay, if you swear to spare the family, I will handle Caleb." She had no leverage. She agreed. That night, Elena looked nervous. "Did Victoria find you?" "Yes. She told me about Caleb. That you set it up." I patted her hand. "I know. Don't worry. She's incapable of being faithful. If not him, someone else." Elena froze. "You don't blame me?" "Why would I? We aren't children. Marrying you maximizes my interests. I like you. Isn't that enough? Only kids put love first, right, fiancé?" Elena relaxed. Following my signal, her company paused the assault on Sterling Enterprises. The Sterlings conceded several projects. As for Caleb, his days of jumping around were over. He was about to learn how hard rich women's money is to earn. He was hiding in a coastal town when Victoria called. "Caleb, come back." I explained everything to Julian. He promised not to target you. Caleb didn't believe it, but he had no choice. Bodyguards found him and forced him into a car. On a dark highway, a truck loaded with steel pipes, horn blaring, turned his car into a twisted wreck of metal and flesh. The next day, police arrested Victoria at her home. "Ms. Sterling, you are under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder." She was stunned. How were they so fast? A month later, Victoria was sentenced to death. The case was heinous. 4 lives lost, including the driver and bodyguards. I bought trending topics to keep the pressure on. No one could interfere. I visited her in prison with Elena. Through the glass, Victoria looked desperate. "Victoria, I'm here to tell you that yesterday, Sterling Enterprises declared bankruptcy. Your family fled the country with the remaining assets." Sad story. They were robbed and shot in a favela in Rio just after landing. "But you'll be reunited soon." Victoria went mad, slamming against the glass. Guards restrained her. "Julian, you promised. You liar." I waved for silence. "I didn't bankrupt the company. Elena did." "I promised she didn't. She holds grudges." "I couldn't help it. Anyway, goodbye, dear wife." I stood up. "Oh, we're getting engaged the day of your execution. Double celebration." As I walked away, she screamed curses. Outside, Elena leaned against the car. "Done so soon." I hugged her. "Let's go." 1 month. On the day of Victoria's lethal injection, I proposed to Elena. She wore white, looking radiant. Victoria fell into the trap the moment she agreed to handle Caleb. I had her watched. The truck driver she hired had terminal cancer. He sold his life for $5 million for his family. After Victoria's people left, my assistant gave him another $1 million. For that, he confessed everything on camera before the crash. The evidence chain was perfect. The Sterling accountant, whom I had flipped, provided records of the $5 million transfer. He traded the evidence for a job at Thorncorp. When the crash happened, I gave the evidence to the families of the victims, the bodyguards, and driver Victoria sent. They went to the police immediately. As for the Sterling family meeting their end in South America, I can only express regret. That wasn't me. It seems when Elena Cross gets ruthless, she's even colder than I am. Story complete.